What's up, Code Squad? Welcome to the Java coding tutorial series where we will be teaching you how to code a basic robot that you can take to competitions from scratch by using Java as your main language. Now, before we start with the actual programming and languages, I will give you probably the most important lesson that you can have during this whole episode series, and that is how to set up your computer, because you will have to play hide and seek with a lot of these different softwares to download, and I'm just going to show you guys where it does all from the start, so make sure to follow along. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you'll need to do in setting up your computer is to download Visual Studio Code here. You will choose the download that you need for your OS system and just click download. I already have Visual Studio Code downloaded, and when you download it, it should look a little bit something like this. This is some spoilers for future episodes, but it should look a little bit like this. And once you're able to do that and download it, you're on the right track. That's all you got to do for this. Just click the download. It's a pretty simple process. After this, you would want to download GitHub Desktop. Now, GitHub, even though it's not really necessary for programming unlike these other tools, I would say it's really essential for communication with your teammates, and it really helped to synthesize the code that we were working on together, and it really made things a lot easier. So I would strongly recommend that your team adopts GitHub Desktop. Of course, it's always up to your captain or your coach as to make the final decision. But if they don't know about this, this is a very easy collaborative tool for many people who are programming maybe from different areas or where they won't be able to see each other. So I already have downloaded GitHub Desktop right here, and you just click the download for Windows and then just click download and follow through. As you can see, there's a right now current repository is the coding tutorial 1. So that's how you know you can create a repository, and then you can share it with your teammates and create an account, and all you guys can work on the same repository at the same time, which is going to be really easy and really efficient for your team. Alright, so now that we've gotten those two out of the way, let's go now to the most important download from that first gives you. And this is the main coding tool, and that is WPILib. Now, what this does is it says this gives all of First's commands imported into WPILib, and it gives a really easy interface to work around. And we'll be looking forward to just improving upon our knowledge of these commands in future videos. But right now, all you have to know is that First has helped us a lot as coders with just tackling the big task of programming a robot. So you'll just click the WPILib installer, and I've already this download takes a while. I've already downloaded it. And it's right here, FRC VS Code, and as you can see, it downloads straight onto VS Code, and it gives you a lot of the same code that you had beforehand with just increased usability. For example, and we'll go into this a little bit later, but you can download vendor libraries and different other things that might be external that you wouldn't be able to do in other softwares. So that's kind of just one thing. Oh, it's still downloading. Let's cancel this. And this is the most important thing. If there is a security pop-up, just make sure to click on more info and then press OK. This is a very secure website. First is giving it, I've used it, so there shouldn't be any problems with that. Now, this is the other thing that you will need for all First teams, and this is the FRC game tools, which will help you to work with the RoboRio and also work with the drive station. So what you want to do is you want to click download here, and basically it's gonna give you a pop-up, and you're just gonna go through the pop-up steps. I already have mine installed, so I'm gonna say no. But make sure to download everything that they give if it's necessary. They try to like sneak in 1 or 2 downloads after you've downloaded all the necessary things. So just make sure you're reading. But other than that, just make sure you're reading through that. And at one point, you should have an activation key. So in a second, I'm just going to have it pop up. I have written it in my sticky notes. Let's go to the notes list. And whoa, all right. So Sharyq, whoa, that's a lot of sticky notes that just came up. So I'm just gonna say, so since I said like in one moment I'm gonna be popping up the sticky notes, I'm just gonna say, all right. So ta-da! This is the secret login key with the activation code right here. B04P86338. This is 0, sorry. And this is the same for all first teams, and I don't know where you found it. My coach told me about this. And basically, if you use it as an activation code, you're set while you are completing the download. Now, there's also a sign-in that you'll have to do. And I believe you'll have to talk to your coach about that one, and I did the same. I asked my coach for the username and password, and then he just gave it to me. So I believe that comes with as part of the rookie kits, or maybe just one of the kits available in first. So now the last thing, and this is only if you're going to be using cross-the-road electronics motors, is you will need to use their vendor libraries and their Phoenix installer here. So I've already installed these, and the first thing we have is a Phoenix tuner. Now we will go into this a little bit more in depth in other videos, but here you will be able to change the ID of your motors, which is going to be very useful in specifying which motor is which. You can also update devices with any new firmware, and it's just an overall very helpful tool that you can use for your CTRE devices. So that's kind of what you have there, and after that, what you would do in VS Code, so you would click on here, your FRC VS Code, and you will go here and click on Manage Vendor Libraries. So since I've already installed it, what you do is you would click Install New Libraries, and then find the library that you would want. Of course, for me, I have already done this, so I won't find it here, but I will find it. If you click on Manage Vendor Libraries, I'll see Manage Current Libraries, and CTRE Phoenix is right here. So I'm not going to uninstall it, but I'm just saying that this is, you can find it and install it from the location. When you're in VS Code, you want to, you're probably going to have a different interface than I do. Right now, this is me when I've already done this, but you should have a screen where you will have, here, let me see if I can do it, create a new project. And here, what you would want to do is just select the folder, enter a project name, so that could just be like Team Robot, enter your Team Robot, team number, and then generate project. Now, you'll also see that there's some stuff up here. Select a project type, template, or example. We're going to use template. We're going to use Java, and we're going to use an old command robot. Even though it is deprecated, there's a lot of commands and functions that are still useful that you can still use. Over time, the new robots will definitely be more advantageous, but for now, the old command robot is definitely not a bad choice, especially for teaching the different commands that they offer, first offers. So, the last thing that we have to go over are these two tools that you will use after your download of the NI product software. And the first one is the RoboRio imaging tool. So when you are connected to a robot, what this will do, the RoboRio is kind of the brains of the robot, and it will give you the current status of the RoboRio. So based on this, you can decide to update it, you can decide to edit startup settings or format it, and you will put your team number here as well, and then just go like that. It's pretty easy to work with, you just have to be able to find it and use it. The last thing is the FRC driver station. This is a tool that your drivers will use, and it's also very useful in coding where you have to find where different things are located. So you can look at your cameras here, you can get some different inputs from anything you use, and you can see some variables and stuff like that. What we want to be looking at is right here. So if your robot has communications, if you have your robot code built, and if you have your joysticks working, then this will all turn green and you will be able to enable your robot and go through and run your robot. There are 4 different modes here. Teleoperated, so that's just basic driving, or if you want to test out certain methods or commands that you will be using in the teleoperated section, that's the that's the tab you want to be using. Autonomous is to test out anything you will be doing in the autonomous section, which we will go over in the next episode. And then practice and test, these are kind of more to simulate game type mechanics. And you can go down here now. This gets to tell you what the different communications are. Right now there's Wi-Fi, which is probably what you're going to be using for the robot, but there's also Ethernet cables and USBs and all different ways of connecting to your robot. So this is, you can just fill in your team number here. Dashboard type, default. You can do any of these, but I would prefer default. And then practice timing, so these are your kind of game mechanics. And then game data, which we won't be focusing right now. Here is the USB order. We'll touch on this later as well, but basically this tells you what order or what kind of IDs the things you plug in have. So if I have a joystick plugged in and it's 0, I will be defining that joystick as the port ID, which is also 0. And we're going to go through all of this after in a couple episodes, so don't even worry about it. This is just an introduction to the driver station. And this stuff you don't really have to use. I haven't used this at all. So this right now, for if you're as a coder, you'll be using USB order and this panel the most in order to make sure that you are testing and testing well, really. So that really concludes this video. I thank you guys for taking the time and coming to listen, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Alright, see you.